a notorious necromancer who goes by the name of the Corpse God. He has been causing chaos by attacking and killing people, as well as making threats to turn them into zombies. The church cannot tolerate such behavior, and decides to send their most skilled knight Shagrua to put an end to his rampage. Despite the efforts of the guards, the Corpse God manages to impale many of them, earning his name for his fondness of creating corpses without reason. The guards call upon the help of a sorcerer in Shagrua, who arrives and immediately takes on the Corpse God. Shagrua possesses an eye that allows him to see the souls of the dead, and he is disgusted by what he sees in the Corpse God. He confronts him, telling him to stop playing the role of the Grim Reaper, as they both possess the evil eye and are guilty of killing people for their own reasons. The Corpse God argues that his motivations are different from Shagrua's. He dreams of a world where children can laugh without fear of being harmed by those who are different, and he believes that the only way to achieve that is by eliminating all those who pose a threat to his vision. Despite the Corpse God's reputation for being the embodiment of his sinister name, he doesn't seem to have any qualms about taking lives, as he views other living beings as mere playthings. The only exception to his indifference are necromancer children, whom he feels a sense of protectiveness towards. However, Shagrua, who is affiliated with the church, dismisses the Corpse God's supposed concern for these children, and the two engage in a fierce magical battle. As the fight between the two sorcerers reaches its climax, the Corpse God unleashes a powerful attack, only to find himself transported to an unfamiliar world shortly after. He awakens in the body of a young boy, unable to speak and struggling to understand what has happened to him. Despite his confusion, he is drawn to the sounds of voices in the streets and sets off to explore this new world. As he glances around, he is in awe of the futuristic world before him. The drone hovering above seems to be keeping watch over him, while moving screens display images of even more advanced technology. Among these advancements is the drone itself, transmitting live footage to a man who's visibly shaken by the sight of him. He is perplexed by the sight of a boy with a slit throat and blood-stained shirt strolling around as if it were normal. However, as he continues to explore this new world, he discovers that the people are healthy and content, which brings him great pleasure. Despite his delight, he cannot help but long for his old world and question whether he can ever return. When the police approach him, he realizes that he doesn't understand their Japanese language. Yet with each word they speak, he gains more insight into the mind of the body he now inhabits, a native Japanese boy named Polka Shinoyama. Although the police are alarmed by his throat wound, which has since stopped bleeding, they call for an ambulance out of concern for his well-being. He begins to understand that he has been reborn in a new world through the body of this young boy, and this is the reason he is still alive. As the officers questioned him, a girl who seemed to know him well suddenly appeared and stepped on one of the officers' heads, pulling him away from the group. She expressed relief that he was safe, but also voiced her dislike for law enforcement, despite their attempt to help. After they escaped to a deserted alleyway, she introduced herself as Misaki. He suspected that she might have been friends with Polka, or at least knew her personally. Misaki proceeded to frisk him for any hidden items, and to confirm that he was alive. Grateful for her help, he thanked her, but she responded with a disturbing confession that she was the one who killed him or Polka the first time. She brandished her weapon, revealing her true psychotic nature, and attacked him. Polka, now possessed by the Corpse God, fled the scene, leaving Takumi to question why someone would target a 16-year-old girl and hire such a dangerous person to do the job. Despite his curiosity, his primary concern was his payment, hoping that Polka would remain dead so he could collect the money. Polka took refuge in a building, confused and unsure of what was happening. In this unfamiliar world devoid of magical elements, he finds himself defenseless against Misaki's attacks. He can't rely on his intuition or senses to detect any potential danger, and his only option is to flee from her. He's afraid of getting hurt because he's not as resilient as he used to be in his previous world, especially since he won't be able to heal from any serious injuries. Despite his efforts to avoid Misaki, she eventually catches up to him and tries to attack him with her knives. Surprisingly, he manages to dodge her strikes effortlessly, impressing Misaki with his agility. But their brief skirmish takes a turn for the worse when Polka joins in with a steel pipe, only to be blocked by Misaki's leg. The fight continues, and he ends up getting stabbed in the leg while reminiscing about the happy children he saw earlier. He realizes that he's come so far and doesn't want to die just yet, so he pulls out the knife and throws it back at Misaki before making a run for it. He finds refuge in an unfamiliar room, where he discovers some strange objects like drums, hooks, and cans of acid. Misaki follows him inside and reveals that the room is actually used for executions. She throws her knives at him, and he falls to the ground, defeated. The girl believes that the room is haunted by ghosts, because it is where skillful gangsters and thugs dispose of their victims. Interestingly, a man named Polka can see these ghosts with his evil eye, which seems to be connected to his soul rather than his physical body. Polka recognizes that those who kill without regard for human life, like he did in the past, are despicable. He values the sanctity of life, but the woman Misaki doesn't share this sentiment and only cares about killing her target successfully. When Misaki attacks him, Polka urges her to respect the preciousness of life and uses his magic powers to defend himself by summoning a gigantic skeleton hand to impale her against a wall. Shagrua stands before the scene in his former world, berating himself for failing to completely eliminate the corpse god. He receives reassurance that it's okay, as the corpse's energy is no longer present and has been eradicated. However, Shagrua remembers that the corpse god used teleportation magic to escape at the last moment when his sword was about to strike. He remains skeptical about the corpse god's supposed defeat, and suspects it could be a trick, but still hopes he saved the world. Unfortunately, Shagrua's suspicions are accurate, and the corpse god is alive and well, currently battling Misaki. He has pinned her with his enormous skeletal hand, and is drawing magical energy from her demise. Polka expresses gratitude to Misaki for leading him to this magical place where he can finally live freely and at peace. He revels in the abundance of magic and unleashes his full power to engage Misaki in a game of the grim.